How's it going, John?
It's going well. How are you?
Good. How goes the road trip?
Spring break road trips, plural.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our first couple of days, we had a lot of snow. A lot of snow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't
It,
too far behind you. We ended up stopping early on before we got to our destination just due to the worry about snow. Although I'm sure we probably could have made it fine, but we weren't in any hurry.
yeah. Well, ironically, it was snowing when we drove through the Coast Range out to Seaside on Friday night.
Oh,
So last
goodness.
Friday, in order to
Right.
go and, sand to sand, we drove
Right.
out
Coast to
to
coast.
Seaside, grab some sand to bring to the East Coast, and then but yeah, it was totally snowing hard over the pass, which was crazy. And then Saturday we drove to Ogden, Utah, which is kind of where Highway 80 kind of
Okay.
goes, I think.
Northern
And
Utah somewhere.
yeah, and
Yep.
and it wasn't snowing when we got there, but it snowed a lot that night, like 4 inches,
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. And we we were, I thought I was going to get, stuck trying to go up the hill in order just to get onto the freeway. And then we got on the freeway and we were driving super slow, starting to go through the passes. We had stopped
Oh,
and
right,
bought
right, right.
chains, you know, so whoever gets this car on the other end, I don't know what they'll do with them, but basically they're our insurance policy that I didn't have to use the chains. Or maybe we'll return them to a Walmart on the East Coast. I don't know. Is that a, I don't know if that's an okay thing to do.
Hmm.
But, and then ironically, Google thought that Highway 80 was closed. Or maybe it was 80 or 84. Whatever the road is that's like literally going across Wyoming. Because we kept trying to get directions and it kept trying to send us weird ways. But there were still trucks on the road. So we're just like, follow the trucks. If the trucks are going through, we can go through too. So I don't know.
If commerce is happening, we can make it.
Yeah. I mean, the roads were not great.
Hmm.
But, we made it through. And then we woke up Sunday morning and it was snowing. I'm trying to think, where did we make it to? Oh, we made it to Cheyenne. We made it to Cheyenne
Okay.
the second day.
Sunday. All right.
Sunday. Yep. And then to Des Moines the third
So
day.
Monday you got to Des Moines. Okay.
Yep.
And
And
then
then
Tuesday?
yesterday, what day is today? Today's Wednesday. Yesterday we made it to Chicago. So, and we kind of,
Okay. Okay.
did a bit of a push so that we could actually have like a half a day in Chicago to actually go down to the waterfront and see
Go see the bean.
the bean,
There you go.
which was cool. And then we actually went down to the Field Museum, so that'll be my something fun later. But
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah.
but that's the first time I've ever been in Chicago. First time
Oh,
ever in Wyoming. First time in Iowa. First time in Illinois. No, that's
a
not
lot of
true. I
firsts.
have flown through. First time out of the airport in Chicago.
Right.
I've been in O'Hare a lot,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but yeah. So sitting in Pittsburgh at the moment. So tomorrow we should hit the Jersey Shore. So there you go.
Oh, so that'll be Thursday. So then you've
Yep.
got
So we'll
a
basically have
couple
2
days
days.
to
2
hang out
days
on the
in
East
New York.
Coast and do things on the East Coast.
Yep.
Uh,
So
Okay.
yeah, looking. It's been fun. It's been fun. So how about you? You're on tour.
Yeah. So our road trip, I actually texted you a picture. We had never stopped. We drove. I have driven by this, I don't know, countless dozens of times. Shoshone Falls in Twin Falls, Idaho. It is called the Niagara of the West. It's actually taller than Niagara Falls, not as wide, but we had just never, because it's about 10 minutes off the main road and we're tired by that point, so we've never stopped. Since we stopped in Twin Falls this trip and actually stayed overnight in Twin Falls, in the morning we went down and checked it out. It is really cool. It was a
That
cool
picture was
waterfall.
amazing.
add a picture there. Yeah, we took a bunch of pictures. I mean, it was freezing. It was in the teens, so we didn't stay for very long.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. And then, so we got to Grandma's house on Sunday. Monday, we did college tour number 1. Tuesday, college tour number 2. And today, we had our longest college tour, which was really kind of fun because we even got, this is Grandma and Grandpa's alma mater. And they still have friends at the university. So we ended up getting to do some things that were not part of the regular tour. One of which, I think I probably mentioned before, my boy likes climate science and sciences and, geology and some of these other things. So they actually we actually sat in on I think this was even a graduate level climate sciences class today. And so they were going over the current weather and showing the various parts of how weather predictions are done as part of the class. And so we got to sit in for the first half of that class, which was really kind of cool. They were showing, here's what's going on, all the weather stuff. And, my boy is he's like, I know these terms, Dad. I know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And, showing this prediction. And he was, the professor was showing, all this extra snow that we've been getting is now going to generate a severe weather event tomorrow and Thursday and Friday for the Midwest. So this Thursday and Friday, there's predictions of, he said, not looking like there's going to be any tornadoes, but really high winds and really lots of severe weather, they called it. So lots of rain and lots of additional weather. So I'm glad you will be past that part. They were predicting kind of in the Des Moines area.
Yeah, but will that hit New York on Sunday when I'm trying to fly home?
Anyways, it was a lot of fun and kind of getting to see the things that he got excited about. And he ended up with a lot of college swag from the 3 different universities he toured. So
I bet.
And the fascinating thing is, all of them are like, you start applying in August. Before you even start your senior year, you start applying for early application. And then depending on what kind of living environment you want, the more popular ones go first. And they open up those October 1st.
Oh, so early.
And so we got to tour some of the on-campus housing, which different types of, apartment style, suite style, these various different things. And the more popular ones go really fast. And so they were recommending that if we wanted into some of these, I wish that, part of me is like a little jealous, if I'm 100% honest, because a lot of the things for the students now that are available right in the housing, I just had an apartment and that was it.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings, occasionally about, colleges in the state of higher education, but I came away these last few days reinvigorated, I'll say, about higher education and opportunities for my boy that I didn't have. So there you go. That was my weekend up to this point.
Well, fun. When do you head back?
Well, so we've been watching the weather because the weather has been horrible. It's supposed to start snowing here again tomorrow and Friday, and then with a break on Saturday and snowing again on Sunday. So our current plan is Saturday all day. Unless Friday it seems to taper off during the day. Maybe we'll leave Friday afternoon and go the rest of the way Saturday. But hopefully, we're just watching the weather at this point. So we'll see.
All right. Well, drive safe. A road trip's fun. We're enjoying it. A lot of junk food being eaten, but
yeah.
But it's good. It's good.
Similar experience. I have eaten way too much.
Well, hey, how about a topic tonight? What'd you bring me?
All right. So I was looking at 2. Like I said, I'm mostly, and you probably the same, not really been paying a whole lot of attention to the news, been doing a lot of other things, but a couple of things caught my eye this week. There was a ChatGPT outage, which on the one, ChatGPT's in the news quite a bit lately, and this outage turns out to have been more than just a simple bug they discovered. is during the outage, they discovered that the bug also may have caused them some unintentional visibility of payment-related information for 1.2% of ChatGPT Plus
counts.
subscribers. Right, across counts. And that was available for a 9-hour window. And so they, addressed that as well as the other bug they were looking at. Some of the things that it could have been visible, not the whole thing, your name, email address, payment address, last 4 digits of your credit card number, credit card expiration date. They do say that full credit card numbers were not exposed. So
interesting.
If you have signed up for ChatGPT and dropped your credit card, which I actually did last week because I was doing some other research and I couldn't get it done on the free account.
Interesting.
It may have exposed some information. I didn't get an email, so I'm assuming I'm part of the 98.8% of people who did not have
affected.
Their stuff exposed.
Yeah.
So,
related, I got my invite to Bard a couple days ago. I don't know if you signed up for that as well.
I did as well. I haven't had time to check it out, though.
That's what I was going to say. I got the email that said, your turn is up. Here you go. But I've been driving largely for the last number of days. So, so next week, maybe.
Generally the same. Yeah. I'll just have some fun stuff with that.
Cool.
And then my second article is, we've talked about Apple AirTags in the past and potential abuses of those. And this was just an interesting article in Forbes where the DEA has been using Apple AirTags for surveillance, right? So they are inspecting something as it comes in through the mail, packages, they intercept things. And then rather than just intercept them and then try to hunt down the recipient at the end of the address, they dropped an Apple AirTag in them and then let the package continue. Yeah, so they could track the movements of the package as it, went wherever it ended up. And so I think while this is kind of an interesting, of course, any technology that seems cool in one scenario can likely someone will figure out how to use it in a less friendly way or abuse the technology in some way. We've talked about how AirTags in the past have been able to do that for, tracking stolen bags, like your luggage in the airport. I guess there's another note in here about someone tracking political campaign signs. They got stolen, so they want to see who was stealing the campaign signs. And then there was also the negative aspect of that, where stalkers were using them to track ex-girlfriends or follow other people. So, Apple has done some amount of work to notify you that, hey, there is an AirTag that is not yours that is close by.
Repeatedly near you.
And I've actually triggered this, and I've figured out how this works.
Oh, really?
Because I have one AirTag, which I gave to my boy, and he uses it on his keys.
Okay.
So it's on his keychain, but when I drive his car, that's not his car, it's the kid car, but when I drive that car, I will get a notice on my phone, hey, this Apple AirTag has been in your proximity for a while. Is this yours? Do you want me to keep notifying you about this?
I see.
It seems to work pretty good. So I don't know how useful AirTags will be. This was just an interesting article about how, the government is figuring out, hey, let's just see where these packages are going to end up. Anyways, so there you go.
How sad are they that Apple's added those anti-stalking device features?
Yeah, and now apparently I haven't seen it happen with the one when I take the car, but apparently now the Apple AirTags will start beeping when they're not near their owner for a long period of time. I don't know what long period of time means yet, but we'll see.
Huh. Okay. Well, that's an interesting one. I didn't catch that one.
What did you manage to stumble across during your long commute?
Two. One, we've talked about Bitcoin ATMs before. In fact, I think we've actually talked about the General Bytes Bitcoin ATMs. I didn't look back to see if in what episode we talked about this, but The first one I have is that General Bytes, their Bitcoin ATMs had a 0 day, and hackers were able to upload a Java application remotely and run it with the user privileges of their service. And evidently this worked both on General Bytes hosted services as well as manually hosted. Although it says their recommended cloud service is DigitalOcean, and evidently they run on port 7741. The quote here is, the attacker scanned DigitalOcean's cloud hosting IP address space and identified running CAS. I don't know what CAS, cloud. If it said what that means, I don't know what CAS stands for. CAS services on port 7741, including the General Bytes cloud service and other General Bytes ATM operators running their service on DigitalOcean, are recommended cloud hosting provider. So, by running, the hacker provided executable under their user account, it gave them access to the entire database. It gave them the, which it doesn't actually say what the database is, but okay. So the ability to read and decrypt API keys used to access funds in hot wallets and exchanges.
Ouch.
Send funds from hot wallets.
Ouch.
Download usernames, their password hashes, and turn off two-factor authorization or two-factor authentication.
Ouch.
Even worse.
Oh no, not even worse.
It says ability to access terminal event logs and scan for any instance where customers scanned private keys at the ATM. In order for you to send data into one of your wallets, you have to provide your key. If they log that key in any way, even in a terminal, and then something else has the ability to then read that terminal log, your private key is exposed.
It's no longer
private. Says older versions of ATM software were logging this information.
Oops.
So it doesn't actually sound like it wound up being that much money at the end of the day.
I love how 1.6 million in Bitcoin stolen is not a big number.
Well, it's only not a big number in the sense of Bitcoin hacks.
Yeah.
Although I'm a little surprised at the ratio between Bitcoin and Ethereum, because it says that the Bitcoin was just under 1.6 million. Ethereum was only $40,000 ish. I don't know. I guess I would have expected Ethereum to be more on the line of 25% at least. No?
I guess that's just what are people using those kind of machines?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, if it's a Bitcoin ATM, I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it says that they can do 40 different types of cryptocurrencies, but really, I mean, the two primary ones are obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Right.
So that was the first one. So if for some reason you used a Bitcoin ATM between March 17th and 20th, I think it was the 20th, maybe it was the 23rd.
Check your wallet.
Okay. My second article, I wanted to do this because I thought that, so this is about Android fraud prevention in app transactions. There's a blog post on the Play Store or the Android developers blog. And a couple, like the main thing is it says in 2022, we prevented over $2 billion in fraudulent and abusive transactions. It's a big top line number, but kind of more than just the top line number. The other things I liked about this article is it actually gave a little bit of detail about things that developers can do to kind of help detect and prevent abuse. So, I don't know. They sort of suckered me in with the $2 billion number, but I kind of wanted a little.
They suckered you in with the headline, and now they're telling you what you need to do to help you not get scammed.
Exactly, because it does sound like it's not free on the part of app developers. So, so it says, two of the most effective solutions you can implement to help address this meaning abuse, are the voided purchases API and obfuscated account ID. All right. So
what is a voided purchases API?
I'm glad you asked. Okay. Not that I know this API.
Leading question.
Whatever, but it says voided purchase API provides you with a list of in-app and subscription orders for each user that have been voided. You can implement revocation that prevents the user from accessing products from those orders. So essentially, if they use some form of fraudulent payment that then gets revoked, if you don't check in with the voided purchases API, it sounds like you won't know that, and they'll have access to whatever it is that they unlocked.
So they get the app for free, even though they get the app without paying for it.
Yeah, or in-app
Okay.
purchase of whatever it is, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
that seems like, I don't know, payments API 101. I don't. Maybe I'm
Sure.
but it doesn't. I assume this has been in the Android API for a very long time. I have no idea. The obfuscated account ID was interesting, I think. It says it helps Play detect fraudulent transactions, such as many devices making purchases on the same account in a short period of time. So,
okay.
There's a number of different abuses that can be detected server side if you with a little bit of heuristics, or maybe if you're super special, some machine learning. But
Okay.
doesn't seem much different than like API abuses that you might need to implement.
Right.
So the third thing in this article that I thought was particularly interesting, and they have a little chart on this one too, is there's a Play Integrity API. So presumably mostly for games, but it says you call the Play Integrity API at important moments to check that user actions or server requests are coming from your unmodified app installed by Google Play and running on a genuine Android device. So a little bit of fraud prevention, I guess.
Got it. Yeah.
A couple of stats in here. It says developers using the API, I think the API in that case is the Play Integrity API, have seen an average of over 50% reduction in unauthorized access of their apps and games. So
Cool.
That's good. That's nice. Kind of maybe the first 50%. And then the other stat that was in the article was says over 70% of our top 200 monetizing developers have integrated these solutions to reduce fraud and abuse on their apps. When I first read that, I thought 70% of the top 200 apps. I was like, oh, okay, so 140 out of 200. But it says developers. Right. I don't know. I wonder what's the overlap between top 200 developers and top 200
How many
apps?
apps do? Yeah. How many apps do developers have?
I would guess, Zynga or some of the popular game, producers probably have, half a dozen or
apps,
a couple dozen on that top 200, I would think.
All right. My something fun?
How about time for something fun?
All right. So my something fun, I have talked about this numerous times. I've been reading at a very slow pace The 3-Body Problem,
which I don't actually know anything about, other than that you have had a hard time getting through it.
So I got through the first book, and it was okay. But the second book, so it's 3 books. I think there's actually a 4th book. So the second book, because I'm kind of glad I did this, because I had bought the 3 set at once. You could buy all 3 books at once. Because if I had just bought the 3-Body Problem, I probably wouldn't have bought the second book. Anyways, the second book is called The Dark Forest. And this book was actually really good. I really liked this book. And so I think, unfortunately, you kind of have to read the first book to understand most of what happens. And, the first book is really a setup for the second book, I think.
Oh,
and, there's things in the first book that you make no sense in the whole book. And then halfway through the second book, you're like, oh, that's why that happened in the first book. Now the first book makes sense. So
Oh,
I really
that's
enjoyed the Dark
frustrating.
Forest. Yeah. So
Okay.
but the basic plot is, and I think I started this is, Earth contacted a civilization, and the civilization, their world is dying, and so they are going to come and invade Earth. But they're 4 light years away, and they're traveling the 10th the speed of light. So it's going to be 400 years before this invading force arrives at Earth. And so Earth basically has 400 years to prepare for an invasion of a superior, entity, and how that plays out. And, the whole it's actually quite good. So if you ever get around to it, wade your way through the first book, The Three Body Problem, and then get through the Dark Forest. I have not read the third book yet. So the Dark Forest actually ends with 200 years left before the invading force arrives. So the first book kind of is up to, oh no, there's an invading force coming to get us. Book 2 is, all right, year 1 through year 200 of the, what happened, what does humanity do to prepare for this invading force? And then the third book, I don't know how far it goes, but it starts at year 200 left. So there's 200 years now from book 3. So we'll see. But I have not started the third book because the Cradle series, book 12, comes out June 2nd. And so I am rereading / re-listening to all the Cradle books. I'm on book 3 already. So that's also part of my vacation this week, is catching up on those books as much as I can before June.
Yeah. Before the last book comes out.
Yep. So there you go. That's my something fun. The Dark Forest, second book of the Three Body Problem.
I don't think I even realized the Three Body Problem was sci-fi. I thought it was like nonfiction that you were kind of slogging your way through.
No.
That's funny. I'm more likely to read it now than I was earlier.
Okay.
But I don't know. I've got enough other stuff.
I would not put it up onto the top of your list anywhere.
Does not get a good Eric recommendation.
It's not one that you got to drop everything and go buy all the books like a few others. But the second book was worth it. Like I said, after reading through the first book and kind of making it through, because it was highly recommended to me by a friend of mine who's recommended several other books and series that I really liked.
Okay.
And so I kind of made my way through the first one, took a while. The second one I read a lot faster because it was much more engaging.
I see.
So The Dark Forest.
Yeah. Well, after you read the third one, let me know how it goes, and then maybe I'll make a decision.
Will do.
So, all right. Well, my something fun is actually going to be for the T-Rex Sue. So when we were in Chicago yesterday, we were we were standing on the harbor going, okay, cool, we're here. What do we want to do? And so I was looking through Google on what's nearby, and I was like, Natural History Museum is right down there. It was kind of cold outside, and it was nearby, and we only had like an hour and 20 minutes until it closed. But we went in, and I did not realize, and I going back over the story. I remember some of the the controversy.
Yeah, I remember some of this too.
The controversy over the skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so Sue is the largest and most complete T-Rex skeleton ever found. It's named after the archaeologist who found it, Sue Hendrickson, in 1990 during a commercial excavation trip north of Faith, South Dakota. So the Field Museum bought the skeleton. They were the highest bidder. They paid $8.5 million, which was at the time in 1997 the most paid for a dinosaur skeleton or for a fossil at auction.
Mm-hmm.
And they it says here that they had support from McDonald's, the Walt Disney World Resort, and private donors. But
right.
The exhibit was awesome. My only regret is that I would have liked to have had like 3 or 4 hours to actually like read more of the things about it.
Right.
Because it's basically set up as a timeline of life, from the, single-celled organisms all the way up, through each of the major extinction events. Obviously, the highlight is the dinosaurs, but they have the Hall of Man as well, etc. But, it was a fantastic exhibit. I could have, walked very slowly, and read so many things. Mm-hmm. We saw as much as we could in the, hour and 20 minutes we had. But anyway, the Sioux exhibit was fantastic.
Cool.
It says more than 40 feet long, 13 feet tall at the hip. Sioux is physically the largest Tyrannosaurus rex specimen discovered out of more than 30 T-Rex skeletons that have been found. Sioux is also the most complete, around 90%. We have 250 of the approximately 380 known bones in the T-Rex skeleton, including the furcula, wishbone, and gastralia, which is a set of rib-like bones stretching across the dinosaur's belly. It says Sioux's skull alone has fascinated researchers for decades. And that was totally cool because they didn't actually have the real skull on the model, up high in the air that you couldn't see. They actually had the real skull kind of in a low display case. And then they have a replica up on the main thing. Oh, but that was another cool thing. On all of the displays, they had a kind of a picture of the skeleton down low with the bones colored for what was real, what was
a filler,
fake, and what was kind of a hybrid. With,
partial bone,
partial.
They filled out the rest of it.
But that was totally cool because you could walk up to any one of the skeletons and you'd look down and you'd be like, okay, so like 90% of this thing is real, and they're the missing parts. And you could kind of look at some of the bones too and see. Oh, and that was one of the other cool things about it was particularly the rib bones on Sioux. You could totally see, and they had a little display separate with a metal cast, but you could see where some of her, they don't know if it was a boy or a girl, where some of their ribs had been broken and had healed in life. So like the rib bone had a cyst / scar / had been healed over.
Right.
But, kind of makes a knot on the bone. And you could totally look at it and be like, that dinosaur did not have an easy life. So anyway, it was super cool. I'm hoping that we have time. We expect to have time, but hoping to go to the Natural History Museum in New York in probably Saturday. But
that would be cool.
Fingers crossed.
So I've never been to the Natural History Museum in New York, but I have been to the Field Museum in Chicago and seen Sioux. And yes, it is a super cool exhibit.
Yeah, so super awesome. All right, my friend, let us call it a field trip episode. Shall we?
Yeah, we do spring break differently, I suppose, than
something like
others.
All right. Well, drive home
John.
safe. I will talk to you next week.
Yep. We'll see you.
Bye, Eric.
Bye.